The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, and thank you everyone for joining us today for our webinar, Light Up Your Digital Marketing this holiday season. We know everyone is preparing for quite a busy holiday season. There's a lot of variables, and we want to be here to help you prepare your marketing as best you can for a very successful season, and just learning ways to reach your audiences now and long after the new year. So without further ado, I'd like to kick it off to our presenters, and we'll get started.
Hi, I'm Jim Job. I'm Senior Director of Strategic Accounts and Performance Marketing. I've been involved with digital advertising since, I guess, right after Al Gore invented the internet. And after running campaigns on one platform or another through basically over 30 holiday seasons, I thought I'd seen it all, and I hadn't. But I do look forward to sharing some insights with you guys, strategies with you, and hope to help you capitalize on the season this year.
Hi, everyone. My name is Yael Zlatan. I'm the Senior Director of Strategic Accounts and E-Commerce. My job is to build cross-channel strategies for businesses of all sizes so they can scale profitably. I have more than 15 years experience in this realm, and I'm still learning things every day, just like Jim. Super excited to be here today talking to you all about how we could shed some light on turning this holiday season to the best you've ever had. It's been an interesting year and a half, and despite the challenges, we've seen huge growth in this niche. So let's get started. On today's agenda, we'll cover different trends you should be aware of, important shopping behaviors, retail and e-com intermingled relationship, and supply chain issues. Then we'll move to key focus areas and action items you should utilize right now and then in Q1 2022. We'll also have a thorough discussion on smart strategies within paid media in different ways to turn today's challenges into tomorrow's success stories. Our hope is that we can educate you, share some expertise, and maybe help you generate more revenue for your business. Jim, I'm going to kick it off to you.
Okay. In talking about retail trends, we're going to quantify the increase in e-commerce sales this year, identify the adaptations that have been adopted by local businesses, hopefully discuss the impact of the supply chain disruptions, and kind of establish a timeline for the season. So as a result of the pandemic, 2020 was a tremendous year for e-commerce growth. I mean, it had a 47% increase, and it accelerated the adoption of e-commerce by like 5 years. At times, online ordering was kind of like the only thing, the only channel that was open. Is how I got all my Charmin. And yeah, the 2020 holiday shopping season experienced, I mean, because the year was 47%, the online shopping season had about 30% growth. And this year is expected to grow an additional 14 on top of that 30. So e-commerce now accounts for 19% of the total sales compared to just 14% 2 years ago. So it's 19% of the total holiday sales are now roll up to the e-commerce. In-store shopping, though, is still alive and well despite the pandemic. It still counts for about 80% of holiday revenue. 45% of consumers plan to shop the same amount in store this year as they did last year, but they've had to drastically adjust how they shop over the last year. There's new hybrid shopping trends that have started to become necessary and popular. Like more than 80% of consumers have used the buy online and pick up in store. And over half of all consumers plan on using like the curbside pickup, touch-free shopping, research online, purchase online, all of these adaptations that, I don't know what half of them are. But if they can figure out a combination, they'll capitalize on it. We recently commissioned, Ad Taxi did, a survey that shed some light on how consumers are supporting small business owners in somewhat of a follow-up to the general desire last year to keep our local restaurants open through the lockdown, like where I personally ensured the survival of at least one Mexican restaurant and one pizza place. Our survey revealed that 70% of consumers indicated they'll shop small businesses this holiday season. These small businesses are toiling in the shadow of all these big box stores, but they're an integral, part of our communities. They live here, they participate with us here, they support our neighborhoods. And so I'm really happy to see that 70% of the people surveyed intend to spend a little cheer with the local people. So it's hard to get a definition, it's hard to get consistency or a consensus on what is considered the holiday shopping season. Traditionally, you kind of look at it as the holiday shopping season kicks off on Black Friday and runs through the end of December. But the National Retail Federation defines it as like all of November and December. And as marketers, we differentiate between buying and shopping, recognizing that the sale that may occur on Black Friday is actually the culmination of a buying journey that may have begun in September or August. So amid product shortages, delivery delays, social distancing protocols, 30% of U.S. consumers say that they'll begin shopping for the holidays before the end of October. Another 24% say they'll do it before Thanksgiving. So that means 55% of consumers have indicated that they'll be actively shopping before Thanksgiving, which is by definition the beginning of the shopping season. Another 27% get going like right after Thanksgiving dinner. So by the end of November, the early part of December, first day of December, 83% of shoppers are engaged before they digest their dinner. The season kind of extends right up to, it's kind of frantic right there, right up till the end of December. It takes one day off, we know what day that is, and then it re-intensifies again the following day, Boxing Day. But when considering exchanges and returns, all that kind of thing, holiday shopping runs right through January. Long before they admitted to actively shopping, they were being influenced by marketing efforts. So whether they said that they were shopping at the end of November or the beginning of November, they were being marketed to, and it was influencing their decisions and their actions. So as they began actively shopping, they searched for and compared products, their attributes, they read reviews, they narrowed their options. Finally, they decided what they wanted to buy, and the first time that the retailer, whether it was an e-com retailer online or it was an in-store, the first time that they knew that this person was interested in that product was when they checked the price in order to decide where to buy it. Every big decision had already been made by that point. What they wanted to buy had been made. All the comparisons had been made. It came down to where to buy it, and that's when it finally revealed itself to a retailer. But that consumer's digital footprints were all over the internet. They were trackable way back in October. And that was when we had the opportunity to start a relationship that would have made us the only choice on where to buy when it came time to buy. Does that make sense?
It does.
We just talked about the difference between shopping and buying, right? Now we're on the buying part. So typically we discuss, on a typical year, we discuss the need to capture web visitors early in the season, and then we would retarget them with an escalating message. We'd build this anticipation. We'd make these promises. We would tease these big discounts that are coming down the pike, and it would lead right up to Thanksgiving week when, bam, we'd give them the deal of the century and they would convert. But for the second year in a row, we have to make adjustments. Because of major supply chain issues, economists and other experts expect major shipping delays, labor shortages, higher shipping costs, product shortages, fewer discounts during the holiday season. Shopping for gifts well before the holidays arrive could maybe help consumers avoid the shipping delays and the stock outs that have plagued the retail industry. But when issues that might be unavoidable, given the e-commerce sellers and brands have been facing the difficulties keeping inventory for the past 18 months, it's unlikely that it's going to make any difference. So big retailers have the money and the resources. They've been bringing in products earlier than normal. They've been investing in these enhanced technologies that allows customers to see what products are currently in stock, if items are available in other locations, how long items are expected to take for delivery, all that kind of stuff. But most of our stores are not these big resource-heavy places. So shoppers aren't waiting until Black Friday to make purchases this year because of the sense that items are likely to run out. In fact, 64% of consumers are planning on ordering earlier this year than last. It might not be the size of the discount that brings in a buyer this season, as it has been in the past. It just might simply be that they have what they're looking for. So shoppers relaxed their expectations, during the pandemic around delivery timelines. Only 14% of shoppers expected delivery within 2 days. This year, they're going to be disappointing because they've now raised that expectation from 14%. Now 25% of them, expect somebody to deliver something within 2 days, and it's just not going to happen. So I would encourage all of you retailers out there to set realistic expectations about delivery times. Stay in contact with the buyer, and I'm going to tell you guys a story. So I bought a very nice kayak, very big kayak, a tandem kayak that you can pedal. And it came in 2 weeks from Brooklyn, New York, and I live in Denver. And happy as I could possibly be, but after having it for a week, it broke. It was under warranty, so no big deal. Sent them pictures, called them, and they told me that they approved it and that they were going to go ahead and put the order in and it would ship. They'd let me know when it shipped. Well, I got the whole darn kayak in a 2-week period of time. So my expectation when they said that they'd approved it, it was approved for shipping and that I'd get the email when I thought that I would get it in like 3 or 4 days. I mean, it's like the stuff I needed was the size of an envelope. And a week went by, and 2 weeks went by, and 3 weeks went by, and I called them, actually emailed them, and the guy looked into it and he said, it's on my manager's desk. He's approved it, and I'm expecting it again. And it didn't come, and it didn't come. Well, the upshot of it is that it's been 3 months and I just got it last week. If they had set that as an expectation, because I was thrilled to death with the kayak, and I understand this supply chain thing, but they didn't set me up for that. They told me that it was shipped, that it was approved, that it was there, and I expected it because I could have walked to Brooklyn in that amount of time. So protect your business's reputation, be honest with your consumers, and communicate with them preemptively, because everyone's forgiving. They understand what's happening, but we can't leave them in the dark.
Man, I love this story you just said. It is so important to remember this holiday season. And as mentioned by Google's holiday guide earlier this year, it said, be ready and be present, right? So directly talks about just the story you've told. Moving on, I'd like to talk to you all about a couple key focus areas you should be paying attention to. Bringing in-store experience online, or as I often phrase it, give your shoppers a virtual hug. Our Pixel Intel shows that it takes, in some instances, 21 days on average for purchasers to make a decision. In the absence of touch, you have to heavily rely on images, lookbooks, video, gift guides. These will become the forefront for product discovery, consideration, and then conversion this holiday season and beyond. Additionally, you should be utilizing some sort of automation derived from a shopping behavior, both on-site and on your paid channels, that will allow you to respond in real time and will elevate you from your competitors, right? So even though we're here in an online environment, customer service is key for scale and also for loyalty, for brand loyalty. Now, I'd like to invite you all to put on your new shopper goggles. Try to look at your website as though it was the first time you visited it. I would want you to look at your product description pages, and I would invite you to tackle any questions or concerns your new clients might have. One of the things you should be tackling is including, if you are offering that, including your free shipping in your headlines or in your descriptions or in the little gadgets you use next to your call to action buttons, or if you are using a banner that follows your shopper across the site. Do not assume that shoppers will have the patience to reach to the cart to discover you offer free shipping, just like Amazon does. So just like in a brick and mortar environment, you want to advertise your offers throughout the store before shoppers hit your register. Now, speaking of brick and mortar scenarios, in a brick and mortar, a shopper can approach a sales associate and ask for guidance and recommendation. However, online shoppers have an endless amount of choices. Product discovery, it is how your customers find and explore your products. And it is in general a huge, huge part of your user experience on your site. Few important things you have to keep in mind. Inspiration is everywhere. Your shoppers are inspired to purchase from blogs, influencers, Pinterest pins and pages, Facebook groups, and the list goes on. Shoppers look at brands holistically, which means they're going to look at your product. They're going to think about what experience they have when they visit your site. And then they also going to look at the value of your brand. Do you bring anything of value? Your website layout and load speed time is the glue to all these concepts. In other words, shoppers this holiday season and beyond have high expectation. Now, perfect scenario, have you offer same-day shipping, curated packaging, loyalty program, and the exact set of products they were already looking for. Sounds perfect, right? But in reality, what we see and what I see almost every day, that in most instances, there is a gap between what they're looking now and what they can find on your website from the first click they land on. So I actually prepared a couple nuances you should be able to implement fairly quickly that will help your product discovery this holiday season. So number one is you want to make your homepage engaging. What it means is it's not a landing page. Treat it as a sales landing page. You want to make sure that you are tackling and you are showing all the products your specific audiences will want to look at, just as though they visited your store and you had a sales associate walk them through the aisles. Another thing you can do is to update your filter and navigation. Make sure it is easy to find products they're not seeing on your homepage. And the third thing is meet your shoppers with products they already have interest in, which brings us up to the next subject, product feed dynamic retargeting or targeting. I'm going to quote Facebook: help your products find the right people. There's so much truth to the saying, and a lot of revenue behind it. So you want to use your product feed to curate product sets shoppers express previous interest in. Or conversely, use your product feed and the AI capabilities all the different platforms have to find different personas and show them products they were searching for somewhere else online, right? So they were searching for a lotion within your competitor's side. Make sure your feed has dynamic targeting and it's going to show them lotions you have. And then finally, create recommendation. Inspire your customers by showing them related or crossover products from the same category. You can really hone on product personalization using audience insight, demo, and geo-analysis. You can do it with your internal BI softwares. You can do it with Google Analytics, or you can use your paid platforms to figure out who are those audiences and what products they're interested in. So a very important thing for me and for Jim also is to highlight that you can and you should use your feed and product discovery to meet your inventory and margin needs this holiday season. Kind of going back to the supply chain issues that Jim mentioned earlier. Now, it is true, and it is really true, especially if you are affected by that supply chain issue. We'll encourage you, first of all, to sit back and feel in control. So with the right strategy, you can turn this around using feed manipulation to divert traffic into products that you have in stock, you currently have in your stock. If you do think outside of the box, you might end up with the best holiday revenue you ever had, selling high margin items and pushing discovery into the right places. Now, the worst case scenario is that your best sellers are out of stock. If you have a diverse media buying strategy, which we'll talk about in a slide or two, you can still keep your pixel data for months, thus allowing yourself to nurture these clients until you're ready to convert them with the products they were looking for. And our final kind of subject here is to reach shoppers pre-shopping online. So as mentioned before, over 40% of shoppers are engaged in the holiday shopping as we speak. Now is the best time to reach them and influence their decision. Placing your brand in their consideration or whether they're in conversion stage is crucial, crucial, crucial. Now, doing that is great, and you should be able to do that. I really, really encourage you. If you do have someone converting on your site and they are probably shopping for gifts, make sure you offer gifts for everyone on their list. It is so important to upsell or cross-sell your clients, especially during the checkout on your cart page. So now that you have some ideas on what you should focus on, let's talk about paid media, my favorite subject of all. So whether you're in retail or e-commerce, you're probably thinking about why and where you should advertise. Our typical experience for past years is that all platforms drive conversions. However, in lieu of Apple's recent privacy changes and high opt-out rate, there are challenges around tracking, which in return cause a spike in cost per acquisition or cost per conversion, depends on how you look at it. First of all, there's no need to overreact, but when considering your media mix this holiday season and Q1 and beyond, you should be thinking about who typically buys your product and where they typically spend their time. Another thing I invite you to consider is your average order value and your margin. We expect that we're going to see a high surge in CPM, specifically across social channels, Facebook, Instagram. Now is the best time to be agile. So don't completely overhaul your strategy, your holiday strategy if you have one, but do consider new venues to reach and retarget shoppers. Let's take a couple examples from real life. If your business is going after a niche audience and your go-to market requires education, you have a new product no one heard of, we would recommend a media mix that is leaning towards paid social, programmatic display, native, and video. You want to educate your new shoppers. Conversely, if you are in an extremely high competitive market, we tend to see success when leaning on paid search, especially shopping campaigns, seasoned with heavy retargeting on paid social and programmatic channels. I do want to mention to all of you on this webinar is that in the last 5 months, from my personal experience running dozens of e-commerce or hundreds of e-commerce accounts, we have experienced success anonymously when combining paid social with paid search and programmatic retargeting. So despite having this limited attribution window on Facebook and Instagram, when we add any of the programmatic channels, it allows us to keep retargeting, right? You're gonna follow these folks everywhere they go on the open web, and prospecting using predictive modeling. So social is a great channel. You never wanna give that up, but you still can and should employ strategy for retargeting and prospecting beyond that 7-day click and 1-day window attribution. The most important thing is being able to adjust. I said it before, but it is important. So each business is a mini ecosystem. And so we really avoid cookie cutter strategy. They can only do harm from what I saw. But often than not, what used to work is no longer performing, and there's a need for plan B or C. Using all the strategies and all the platforms one can offer is a really great idea. Each one of those has pros and cons, but our suggestion is don't lean on one platform. Jim, I'm gonna kick it over to you. Take us through this beautiful subject.
I was on mute.
Yes, you were.
Sequential messaging is a technique which we use to tell a story by using a predetermined series of ads. The ads are shown to a user. They change depending on what ads they have already seen and how far down the funnel they've been traveling, and the length of time that has passed since they engaged with our website. So the advertiser needs to take specific action in order to qualify to move to the next step, to the next set of ads. And when they take a specific action and they go to the next step, then we're trying to drive additional action. It's kind of like they need to crawl, then they need to walk, and then they can run. So it's incredibly effective as it tells a story and it brings them through. And it's really effective as a remarketing technique that nurtures qualified website visitors from the awareness stage to intent to conversion. You lose people at every step, but that allows you to save resources by not continuing to waste money, on a disinterested consumer. So in a typical shopping season, depending on where and what they last did when they were on our website, we might just serve a branded ad that was featuring someone using one of the products with a desired outcome, maybe defined as getting them to your site. And when they came to your site, that would then qualify them to see the next ad, which might feature all the variations of your product. So you can see how we're progressing it. And if they did that, it might qualify them to see a product page. And if they came in and saw the product page, that might qualify them to see the last ad as we progress them through, which features the product and a limited time discount item. So we're introducing them to the company. We're showing a very broad, very high level to create interest. If they engage, we take them to the next step. Now we show them something more specific, and then we give them a price and we convert them. That's typically what we do. That sequence might still be usable, but the sequencing this year, depending on the product and what industry you're in and what your availability is and what your supply chain looks like, but this year you might emphasize your available inventory, a dwindling inventory, limited shipping, that type of thing. We have to be responsive to what's important to consumers right now. We still need to tell a story and bring them in, but rather than try to bring them in and march them towards what we'd always done before, which was a price point, it might be getting them to convert early so that they can lock in while we still have inventory. And that might be the messaging that resonates with them better.
I like that. I like your examples of crawl and then walk. Yeah. Talking about strategies that get sales. Honestly, this is my favorite slide, Jim. So take us through it.
Well, retailers need a data foundation that can easily integrate with online and offline data sources for enriched customer intelligence and a more seamless customer experience. They've been collecting customer information for years, right? It's going to be worth something someday. Now is the time to put it to use. You can segment customer data by what they purchased, how often they purchased it, how long ago they purchased it, identify lapsed customers. Depending on your business and how robust your data is, you can get pretty granular. This allows you to identify, segment, and ultimately target past or existing customers with very personal, very relevant products, ads. You can do offers. The first party data has never been more valuable and necessary than it is now. As the recent iOS 14 privacy update has severely limited marketers' ability to model lookalike audiences based on web activity. But it doesn't limit the ability of us using first party data. Survey data shows that 48% of shoppers seek personalized products and offers. 77% are more inclined to shop with brands that personalize content across the online shopping journey. As your campaigns run, optimize bids and ads based on the journey the consumer is taking. Use personalized ad copy based on where they are in the journey and how they have interacted with your website. And then we look to increase reach. With the seasonal increase in e-com and whatnot comes the year's best opportunity to prospect and get new customers. Audiences can be identified to such a granular level anymore that if you only sold like large left-handed batting gloves to red-headed pilots and bus drivers, we could probably find an audience for that. So you need to define your audience. Take this opportunity. Create a lookalike audiences, either from your customer data, your CRM data, or your web visitors, and then use the available platforms to serve the right consumer, the right message, wherever they may be at the right time. And then, it's naive to assume when someone comes to our website, we've done all this and we get them to our website, it's naive to assume that someone's going to see our ad, click on the ad, come to our site, and see exactly what they want, complete a transaction all in the next 3 minutes, especially when everyone has been trained in the past to wait for the big sale that's going to happen at Thanksgiving. But if someone has been to your site, even though they may not have signed up for a newsletter, they haven't done anything that would allow you to identify them, right? They haven't done a form fill, they haven't done a sign up, they haven't called you, they haven't revealed themselves to you where you could call them or email them or send them a letter. But they have revealed themselves to you digitally. And so they can be served very specific ads based on what they did on your site, where they left it. You can gently take them. I look at it as gently take them by the hand, at least digitally, and you nurture them. You're kind of pulling them along until they eventually convert, walking hand in hand with them through the park.
I love it. Hold them by the hand digitally, which brings me to something that gotta mention here before moving on, often than not, I mean the industry, right, use the word advertise when talking about media buying. I feel like it is important to know that you are in the business of data buying, right? So as a data buyer, your pixel allows you to store data anywhere between 180 to 365 days, depending on what platform you're pasting the pixel on. What it means to you is that you'll be able to capture, nurture, convert way after the holiday season. So my recommendation to you, my biggest tip this evening is, or this morning is, use your site visiting optic to keep your momentum going in January, February, and March. So if you folks have been listening thus far, we've mentioned media mix and budget across platforms. Interesting enough, retailers and e-commerce advertisers on calls with us often ask us, what is the perfect prospecting and retargeting media mix during the holidays? Well, there's no one right answer, but the rule of the thumb is to build momentum prior to Black Friday with increased client acquisition. Now is the time before CPMs, before advertising cost goes up, and then aggressively retarget starting 1 week prior to Thanksgiving, prior to Black Friday. You want to use your pixel data, and you also want to use your first-party data, your email list, your CRM data. So as a company here at AdTaxi, we are channel agnostic, and we'll encourage you to think the same. Now more than ever, it is key to be able to diversify your advertisement across different platforms and different products. With attribution and audience data limitation, just like Jim mentioned before with iOS 14, diversifying your buying portfolio, your media buying portfolio will help you increase conversions you would otherwise miss. On-site strategies, on the other hand, you want to strive to create a delightful shopping experience. And you want to ensure that post-product discovery and then purchasing across your store, or whether you have a website or an app, is frictionless. And by frictionless, I mean short load times. There's not enough words to stress how important it is to have the pages load quickly for your clients, especially on mobile. Seamless checkout, and then shortened path to cart. Think about the landing pages, the URL redirects you use to send new clients or past clients to your website. Make sure they are close to that call to action button, that you are pushing them somewhere close to the cart. And then another thing that we've discovered to be very, very helpful in the past holiday season, the last couple of years, is have your clients do as little typing as possible. Offer multiple payment options: Amazon Pay, Shopify Pay, Apple Pay, PayPal, whatever pay they have these days. Most importantly, your messaging or your creative, your user experience, however you're not going to call it, it's not going to end when someone converts, when someone commits to a purchase. After the purchase, I want to say that's when your relationship starts. So I would encourage you to use your unique voice to create brand loyals, folks that will buy from you again and again and again, lifetime value in that post-purchase stage. So for the next steps, whether you're have a holiday plan or not, Jim, take us through what will be the action items one would take.
Well, if we're sitting here in the middle of October and you don't yet have a holiday plan, don't feel too bad. I mean, my favorite hardware store has been in business for decades, right? It's a fixture in my community. I'm not even sure they owned a computer until just a few years ago. So how could they have possibly anticipated that 30% of this year's sales would have an online component? So if you didn't have a holiday plan until 5 minutes ago, or still don't have one, don't feel bad, because, you know, who knew all this was going to happen? But do get something going now, which is, you know, better than having nothing going. So your first step is determine a budget. Maybe, as they told us in marketing class 40 years ago, maybe use 5% of last November and December's revenue as a start. They always use that benchmark, right? So take 5% of that, that's your start. Now you have a budget. Since your best customer is a current or past customer, first thing I do, upload your customer data to Facebook. 31% of shoppers look for products on Facebook. Introduce yourself, invite them to your site. That would be my first step. My second step, you know how you identify someone who is in your area and is interested in your product or service? Well, it's people in your area who are using Google or Bing and searching for your product or service. 50% of holiday shoppers use Google or Bing when searching for products online. Still have a little bit of budget left? When someone has been to your site but left without buying something, do the virtual equipment or virtual equivalent of chasing them down in the parking lot. You remarket to them. So do something. Even though you're not doing anything right now, find a budget and upload your CRM data. Get a search campaign going. Retarget people, chase them down in the parking lot who have come to your site and haven't bought. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good. Your holiday campaign doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be running. That's how I would work with someone with no holiday plan. How would you work with someone who had a plan? That would be the easier one.
Well, you're half right, half wrong there. If you're listening to this webinar and you are a business or someone that runs a business and you already have everything figured out this holiday season, that's awesome. Kudos to you. But don't set and forget your holiday strategy. Monitor and look for trends. You're going to see up and downs in the CPA, which is cost per acquisition in the e-commerce universe, CPCs, and CPMs, right? You want to look for what trends they're going to experience this holiday season. Look at your catalog performance. Are your products attracting transactions or consideration? And then evaluate results for your active campaigns. Are they performing and doing what you're optimizing for? Now, if not, it's not too late to make minor adjustments. You want to start with your creative and then adjust your beads or move budget from and around to a different platform, be agile. So whether you're using an agency or running it in-house, employ all the reporting capabilities you can. It will help you to create business intelligence to help diversify your KPI strategy. In other words, yes, you're after sales, but you have to know that anyone who visited you and didn't convert is a potential customer. It's key to nurture them beyond the holidays. Having worked for e-commerce for over a decade, I've seen businesses enjoy quote unquote holiday revenue for the fracture of the advertisement cost during the first quarter of the year. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about this holiday season and the next one. Let's wrap up, Jim.
Well, here's what we hope you take with you, that you remember. Hopefully this is the stuff that's helpful. Consumers used to either shop online or shop at the store. It's one or the other. Now consumers do both. 51% are going to do half of their shopping online and half at the store. We have no idea where they're going to pay, in store or online. And we have no idea whether we are going to ship to them, they're going to pick it up, or a stork is going to drop it off in our chimney. We do know that nearly every shopper will be online in that process, no matter how they transact. So be online and be available. Also, give your online shoppers a virtual hug. Meet them with products that they have already shown interest in. Manage your feed for client acquisition, retargeting, inventory management. And there's no one platform that's favored. It's important with this fluid environment to diversify your efforts. be as many places as you can. Leverage your first-party data to create audiences that you can provide personalized experiences for. When someone engages in a favorable way with your site, take them by their little virtual hand and walk with them through their journey. Be flexible with your message. Price is still the main criteria, but the disrupted supply chain could make that availability or delivery at any time. We don't know what the criteria is going to be, but address the consumer criteria that's important to them. And please set realistic expectations with your customers on shipping and communicate with them.
Right on. I think we came to an end. So both Jim and I would like to thank you all for joining us. One thing we know for sure, it's going to be a great holiday season. This webinar's recording and some additional holiday resources will be sent out soon. In the meantime, you are welcome to drop us a line via email or phone, or just love to hear about all the great things you were able to accomplish this year and the past years and all the mountains you're planning to climb. Since it is the giving season, at Tuxie would like to offer you a free complimentary audit performed by retail or e-commerce expert, just like myself and Jim. We'll be delighted to provide some value, share our experience, and some winning strategies specifically tailored for your business. Have a wonderful day and a very, very busy holiday season.